This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's gonna be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for Season 16, Episode 5, titled Girl Groups. My name is Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by two very lovely co-hosts. I'm very nice today. First, from Bravo, Bravo, effing Bravo, please say...
Los gringos se están peleando.
to Nathan Patrick Brown. Hello, Nathan.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great.
Is this gonna? Have you been on a show since then?
No, but I have been watching that clip on repeat. I love it.
All right, very good. And you know him, Blast from the Past from Drag Race Recap and the Rumor Mill. Please say.
I don't get nervous. I get drop dead scared.
To the one, the only. I have That's Amore. For Mr. Evan Ayres. Hello, Evan. How are you?
Hi, Joe. And Nathan. Hello, friends.
Yeah, hello, everybody. Welcome to Evan Ayres, when was the last time you were on a recap episode?
It was season 10, which was like...
Was that really your last one?
Maybe 11. Maybe there were... You know what? There were as many seasons between last time I was on and now that there were like when I first started doing this with you.
Wow.
You might be right, actually.
That's crazy. Yeah. It's been a long time. Yeah. So hi.
And did you miss it?
I actually did miss it. We'll see how I feel towards the end of this call, but
yeah. I remember Nathan, Evan and I went to see we were at the season 10 finale together. And actually if you watch season 10's finale, there's they did a long shot of us going into commercial. Me and Evan were right in the center. And I had somebody call me a couple years ago and be like, were you at the season 10 finale? And I was like, oh yeah. Uh-huh.
It was like right after like Eureka's segment. That's how I remember the benchmark. It was, and that's where we show up.
Yeah. Which is funny because it's not real that what they filmed is not to show you how put together this is. That wasn't really a reaction to Eureka. That was us before the show. They have you do a lot of fake reaction shots, like pretend you're scared or pretend you saw something funny or pretend you saw something shocking. So we're laughing, but it's a fake laugh.
Wow. Reality TV is such a scam.
Behind the mirror. Yeah. It was so fun though. That's like one of my favorite memories.
It was a really good time because, Sirius XM got us the tickets and we were milling in the VIP section with all the drag queens. And Evan, you were a little scared to talk to them, weren't you? Like you were kind of a little shy.
Yeah, well, no, I just was more of like, they're not here for me. Nothing I say is going to be super like exciting to them. What am I going to say? Like, you're so pretty. Like,
yeah, that's how I feel talking to Joe and Laurie.
Yeah. I knew my place amongst them. So I was just there to observe and to appreciate.
You know what's really funny is you would think with all the drag queens that were there, and they were all there, the big ones were there. I would say actually season 10 might be one of the last, maybe season 11, where like, a lot of big drag queens showed up. I felt like Evan was the most gagged by Mrs. Kasha Davis, which I think is a funny sort of interesting thing.
What was she there?
Yeah, she was there, and I remember you were pretty gagged.
No, I was gagged when I got to talk to her on this podcast. Yeah. Remember we interviewed her?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was cool. But yeah, no, I don't remember who I was most gagged by. I think I was gagged by Jeffrey Boyer Chapman not being friendly.
He wasn't friendly?
And then I was gagged by Gus Kenworthy, like how incapable he was of reading his lines. He literally had like he had his cue card. You remember he did that questionnaire and he could not read the question right?
I have no memory of anything. I didn't remember Jeffrey Boyer Chapman being there.
Yeah, he was there. It was before Canada's Drag Race, so he was still.
What did he do that wasn't friendly?
Oh, he was just in line for a drink and was just like very standoffish. And I was like, we're
Ugh, what a cunt.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, well, by the way, we had a very interesting conversation about what Evan's been up to. That was an interesting conversation. Then we had a conversation with Nathan about what he's been up to. And you could hear all of this. Oh, Lori called me and threatened to punch me in the face next time she sees me. But it all happens on Just Between Us Girls. And you can get that at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. Join at the executive tier and above, patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. But let's jump right into the episode this week. The queens publish their memoirs and break up into girl groups. On the runway, the category is Faster Pussycat Wig Wig. Geneva, Maya, Nymphia, and Megami are named the winners of the challenge, while Q and a mandatory meeting are placed in the bottom two. After a lip sync battle for their lives, Q was told, "Shantae, you stay," while Amanda was asked to sashay away. Let's start with our very good friend Evan Ayres. We're going to go first here. Unless Evan, by the way, everyone, a couple of years ago, Evan told me he doesn't listen to the show because it's too negative. So maybe he hasn't listened to an episode. Evan, because you said that, actually, I changed the question. It's no longer two things you liked and one thing you didn't. It's now
two things you hated and two things you didn't like.
It's just like, name all the things you hated. No, it's that's the name of the show now. What did you think of the lip sync, and did the right queen go home? If you need Nathan to go first, I can let him.
Oh.
No, I do not. I thought the wrong person went home. Absolutely. I think it makes sense that a mandatory meeting was eliminated between the two of them. I think that Q's body of work is stronger this season, but I do not think that there is not a single ounce of editing that could make me believe that a mandatory meeting lost that lip sync. There's just no way.
It's funny, I have sort of the same opinion as you do. All right, Nathan, what about you?
I totally agree. I really ended up loving Amanda. I didn't think I would. I hated her in the Meet the Queens, but I grew to really appreciate her, and looking at that lip sync, I thought she did win it. And so as you said, I see why they did that, but it feels a bit shady.
I'm going to tell you guys have the correct answer. The correct answer is, that I will say the lip sync was sort of close, but no, Amanda Tori meeting took it hands down. Hey, look, here's the deal. The reason Q was in the fucking bottom was because the bitch can't dance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And now you're saying, because they both knew the words. So they're equal there. They're not Mirage. They both knew the words. They had the words down. They both had the charisma. So what's going to come down to? The dancing. And Amanda was the best dancer of the cast, and you have her against the worst dancer of the cast.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. It's one of those cases where the body of work, that I haven't worded it very well, the body of work is what saved Q. So there you go. Let's move on. That was, All right, after Mirage's elimination, the queens enter the room devastated by Mirage's elimination. Later, Q cries about her lack of a win. Meanwhile, Plain makes her feelings known, and that rubs some of the queens the wrong way. It's a new day in the workroom, and Plain gives Amanda a backhanded compliment. Next, RuPaul enters the workroom to announce this week's mini challenge. The girls need to get into quick drag for a cover shoot and create a title and author bio for their hypothetical memoir. After the photo shoot, Saphira Crystal is named the winner of the mini challenge. Let's throw it back to Nathan. Nathan, your thoughts here on everything that happened after the elimination and then the next day.
Yes, so I think the tall poppy syndrome is kicking in for me with this Q, because as soon as she started...
Can you remind me of tall poppy syndrome again? I know it's an Australian term.
That's this thing that us Australians have where as soon as someone starts like big noting themselves or getting too big for their britches, just like they succeed too much, we don't like them and we want to take them down and cut them apart.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling that with Q because when she's crying about not winning, I just think it's so entitled. And I agreed with Plain, what she said. I don't think it was Plain's place to say it. Like, I think if anyone should be upset, it should have been Geneva, because she should have been like, yeah, I've lip synced every episode I've been in. And like, I don't really appreciate you whinging about being second. But yeah, as soon as Q did that, I looked at her in a different way and I was sort of like, you're overrated and I'm sick of you. And I hope that's not too negative for you, Evan.
No.
What did you think, Evan?
I thought that she said this was the episode of Mr. X, And so, like, I thought that, like,
Who's she? Who's Mr. X?
She was the queen that molested someone and didn't get on.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
yeah, yeah, she was a queen from season UK 5. Yeah, I get where Q's coming from, but it's just like read the room. Like I just read, like you said, I think Geneva could have definitely been the one to have anything to say. It's one of the few times where I actually was like, you know what, Plain Jane is an absolute cunt, but I agree with her in this case, and so yeah, didn't love. It was not a good look for Q, but I can also like, they're drag queens, they're self-centered. Like it's you want, what's she gonna be? They can't all be Maya Ipan LePage and just not say anything. So I'm glad she's giving us some sort of arc.
Listen.
Oh boy.
First of all, let's just talk about this Geneva when they come in, right? Poor Geneva. She's sitting there by the mirror. Can you imagine remember, this is very soon. This is right after, they've danced off the stage, okay? It's just finished. And they're all standing in the room. They're crying, right? Everyone's crying because essentially they're saying, we wished you would have gone home. And like, oh my God, Mirage is gone. I can't believe this. Our queen, we love you. And Geneva's just standing there like waiting to wipe the lipstick off. And she finally says like, you can tell like, it's almost like, yeah, guys, yeah, we don't want anyone to go home, but someone has to go home. And I'm like, oh God, it's so awkward for her. Now, going to the Q going on and on about being at the top and not winning, that was so cringy. It was giving Jan. I'm not gonna lie. It was giving dry Jan Ayres. Okay. and I was like, and so I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm gonna tell you something. And it goes episode by episode. Plain Jane is my hero this week. She is my hero because I'm gonna tell you something, Nathan. I didn't catch this. I mean, I obviously understood when I was watching the show the first time, but when I watched it the second time, when I really caught it, this is why Q was mad. I realized it on the first watch, but now knowing everything that I knew, watching it a second time and being like, this is why Q was like, I'm so hurt that you said it. And because here's the thing. Everybody was saying what Plain Jane was saying in the confessionals. Plain Jane is the only person articulating in the room what everybody is thinking, but they're clutching their pearls because she said it. And I'm going to tell you something. She's being a bitch. She's being a cunt, but we were all thinking it. And so when she says, oh, this is why Q's mad at her, it's so silly. Now, I'm not one of these people. This is a very Taylor thing. Taylor, I love you. But I am, like, Taylor will be, oh, okay, let me tell you what it is first. A mandatory meeting for the first of 2 times broke the fourth wall.
I loved it.
Which is a cute thing, but the reality show producers don't like it.
Yeah, the office look at the camera is not their favorite thing.
They don't like it. They don't want you breaking the fourth wall. They don't want you breaking the illusion that there's like an invisible eye. Like maybe once in a while, like when Adore did it, it's cute, right? But Amanda did it once, and I was like, okay, right? She does it again later, all right? She did it once this year when she was talking about, because remember after the Plain Jane thing, she and Q congregate, and they're like, right? This is what I'm talking about. Like, Plain Jane full on bullies Amanda, all right? This is full on out, right? It's not the same as what happened with Q. I think she was actually like, oh my God, give it a rest. Because that's what Q, for random people who didn't watch the episode, Q was bitching and crying. I wouldn't say bitching, literally crying. Tears coming down from her face because she's been in the top 3 times but hasn't won. Meanwhile, this Geneva Carr has lip synced every episode she's been on. One of them was because she won, but has lip synced every episode she's been on, and she's like going on and on about how she hasn't won, and it's not a good look. I'm going to tell you this. Okay, now the next day, the mini challenge, even coming into the room, when they come into the room the next day, did you have any thoughts, Evan, on this?
About the waiting for the not really. I mean, I don't really have any. I have no like thoughts on the mini challenge, but not what happened beforehand.
Nathan?
Well, just that I hate Plain. Like, I was on her side with the Q stuff, but when she starts coming for Amanda, it just really turns me off. And I think maybe it's because I relate to Amanda, because I know what it's like to have a troll call out your name, like, out of nowhere and come for you. Like, I've had that experience just quite recently.
Yeah, I think I just had it right now.
Yeah, so I don't like this plain Jane. I think she's a cunt.
What? Let me ask you this. What if she came on here and said, I'll show you my pits?
Well, I can still appreciate a good pit, but like I think she's evil. And if you were to say to me, "Oh my god, bad news, plain Jane died," I'd say, "Oh well." Like I hate her.
Evan, I know you can't. Evan, I know you can't comment. Okay, I know you can't comment on what I'm going to say. But do you think people from Massachusetts are just evil?
No, I actually think some people from Massachusetts are great people. I think Boston has like a reputation for just like kind of being like a very like I think Boston is what people think New York is like when it comes to like being unfriendly and like kind of like toxic. Like that's no offense if you're from Boston, but like that's just the stereotype, and I think you can mask behind it. I love Plain as a character, but what's interesting is that we're not seeing any resolution to it. Like, I mean, she's bullying Amanda, and then Amanda just leaves. So we're never going to get to tie this up. So she's just being a bitch to this person. So
I have a thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I'm glad that I like this kind of Drag Race more than last season, where it was like Mrs. Isabel Brooks, who was very funny and like cutting up and, you know, having drag queen banter with like, you know, little Splenda and Cayenne or whatever their names were.
Mm-hmm.
And
those were their names.
Yeah. So like, right. I'll take this any day. I would much rather watch someone like Plain Jane than someone who doesn't know how to perform.
Yeah. I will say it was sort of weird when I think Amanda calls her Jane and she goes, "It's Plain." I'm like, first of all, it's a made up name. Okay. Yeah. It's not real. Like that part really annoyed me. Like you're no one's name is Plain.
Yeah.
Unless you're Jujubee.
Well, no, but her name is spelled Plane, like an airplane, not Plain. Yeah. So
I know. What's this Jujubee's real name again?
It's Airline.
Yeah, Airline. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Anyway. All right, let's go to the mini challenge. Nathan, did you have any thoughts on the mini challenge in general?
Johnny Bananas is back and I'm sick of it. I don't want to say any more bananas.
I'll
leave it at that.
You're talking about Nymphia.
Yeah. So I call her Johnny Bananas now when I'm watching the show.
Okay.
Did you guys watch House of Villains and The Traitors?
I'm watching The Traitors. So good.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Johnny Bananas is on that. I love him.
Oh, don't get Evan started on Survivor.
I wasn't going to start about Survivor. I was going to say when Nymphia was eating that banana, all I could say was, "Where did you get a piece of banana?"
Oh, yeah. That's okay. And this is a good question. This is a good lead into something. Nathan, do you know what Evan is referencing?
Yeah, the loaf of bread Jasmine Masters had.
Yes, from season 7. Yes. We're doing what was that mini challenge? It was a dance mini challenge.
They were doing the old lady drag or something.
Cha-cha bitch, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It might have been cha-cha bitch, actually. All right, so you gave your thoughts on the mini challenge, Nathan?
Yeah, and also Megami was holding a prop aloft for like that whole segment. You know how I said a few weeks ago she's always holding a fucking prop? Well, she did it here and she does it with the looks again as well.
This is Nathan's thing. Evan, what about you? Any big thoughts on the mini challenge?
Yeah, I thought that Megami looked like Staten Island Divine Hooker, or Eeyore was my note. And then Plasma is I have issues with this Plasma girl. Her little Edie impression. I'm waiting for her to like inspire me in a way that is not Jinx Monsoon adjacent. So that was my problem. And then
she looks like someone who had her eyebrows burned off.
She probably did.
Yeah, she bugged me. I don't like people generally who give me a student who sits in the front of the class and raises their hands really high energy, and she gives that to me. I don't like it. I don't like her.
Well, she embodies a lot of the theater girl stereotypes in this episode.
Yeah, she's very theater girl.
Yeah, which is, you know, good for you, good for committing your life to something, but it's a lot. I also wrote, if I had to pick a magazine, I would pick Dawn's, because it said a magazine for someone who had a mental breakdown and a self-diagnosis. I could help write that magazine in a heartbeat.
Okay, well, we'll have to get you a copy. Now, let me tell you something. This pit crew photographer...
Oh, also, my question real quick. For the prize, RuPaul really couldn't be bothered to just sign 16 books? Like, no. She's only going to sign one and give it to Sapphira?
Now, can you imagine that's your prize? A signed copy of a book? You know it's not going to be personalized.
Oh, no, I remember, yeah, it's going to be like, here, Emerald, love RuPaul. Like, she's going to, like, she has no idea who this person is. Yeah, Raja talked about, like, how in season 3, like, Ru, like, gave them all, like, personalized gifts. And, like, they had all these like special connections, and now a prize is a book that had not probably even been like finished yet, and they plugged this in.
Yeah.
Anyway, thought that was funny. But and $2,000. So $2,000.
Yeah,
So
she did get to $2,000. Yeah. I want to bring this up. This is my Megami's always holding things, which is Nathan's pet thing. Is when Geneva Carr walked in, or didn't want to meet the queens. I meet the queens or somewhere. She said, "I'm Geneva Carr. People call me for some reason, vroom vroom." And I was like, she's like, as if like people put this on her. Meanwhile, any fucking chance she gets to put any vroom vroom on anything, she does it. And she did in this on the magazine, vroom vroom this and vroom vroom. I think it comes up in the girl group challenge. She puts it in her lyric. I'm like, it sounds like you want the vroom vroom.
I think it's because she's always commuting from Staten Island to New York City.
I think that's because the sound that the deportation bus is going to make when Greg Abbott sends her to New Hampshire or wherever. Okay. What's wrong, Evan? You missed being on Drag Race recap?
No, I like it. I'm already getting a little negative. I love it.
Yeah, you like toxic environments?
Yeah. It's kind
From
of fun.
Jack Morta Boulay herself? Yeah. Next, RuPaul announces this week's Maxi Challenge. The girls will form into 3 girl groups, write and record original verses for an assigned RuPaul track, and choreograph a group performance. Saphira, Plasma, and Geneva are named team captains, and the teams are as follows. For QDSM, they're going to be singing Star Baby, and that's going to be Saphira, Dawn, Morphine, and Q. The Lova Girls, and they're going to be singing Courage to Love. That's Plasma, A Mandatory Meeting, Tsunami Muse, and Plain Jane. And finally, you have Thick and Stick, ASMR Lovers, what they're singing, and Geneva, Maya, Nymphia, and Megami are the girls in that group. Anything on the Maxi Challenge? There's nothing on the Maxi Challenge announcement or the choosing the teams or anything. Do any of you have anything on that?
I appreciate that Plasma put Amanda and Plain in the same team. I thought that was good producing.
So they announce the challenge, and then they go to the workroom. Did you have any big thoughts on this, Evan?
No, I couldn't really handle the Megami crying over being picked last and what that.
Wait, well, why? Let me ask you why you couldn't handle it.
It's because someone has to get picked last. Like, what? This doesn't need to be a dissertation about your entire life. Like, it's just a challenge, Merritt. Like, you haven't lost anything. You're not in the bottom. Like, and then they cut to her crying in the confessional. So she was still crying about it the next morning when they had her in the interview chair. It's just a lot. It's a lot of emotion for not even starting the challenge.
And she did say, like, oh, I'm used to being picked last. I always get picked last. And I'm thinking, when are you in a lineup getting picked? Like, I can't remember the last time I was in a lineup getting picked.
See, I'm going to tell you guys something. This is why Evan told me that our show is too mean. And this is not something that I concocted for today. I thought a lot about this because now I will say the way it comes up is Nymphia makes it, because what happens in the scene is Geneva Carr is, going like, oh my God, I'm so glad I chose you, Nymphia, because you're good at this. And Maya, thank God you're going to choreograph and I'm going to do this. And then Nymphia is asking, I think genuinely, oh, why did you pick Megami? And because she immediately goes like, oh, I'm so sorry. Right? And that's when Megami like tears up. Either she's, one of two things. Either Nymphia is a fucking sneaky ass fucking assassin, right? Or she was genuinely realized what she said. And Megami got so emotional in the room and on the confessional. And I was actually thinking, I think we naturally have a tendency to judge people because they don't fit a certain mold, if you will. Mm-hmm. So we have a tendency to judge people. We were having this conversation. I feel bad for people listening later. When you're listening right now, Evan dropped for whatever reason. He'll come back, but because it's going to sound like I'm saying something about Evan. He's not here, which I am. But just because we have to keep going, he's very negative. In Just Between Us Girls, we had a conversation about how I think Evan or not just Evan, but a lot of gay men like this Mateo Lane just because they think he's hot. that he really isn't that funny. And for those of you who are going to fucking fight with me, go watch the Trader Joe's video, okay? The one he goes to Trader Joe's. It's one of the least funny things I've ever seen in my entire life, is Mateo Lane doing his classic comedy bits at Trader Joe's, all right? And I think, I won't say he's not funny. I'll just say he's very overrated because he wears a crop top and is cute, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, notice how much grace we give him because he's attractive. And I even did a Rulaska thoughts about this. And I think the opposite could be true, is how little grace we give people because we're not attractive. Because we as gay people, not only do we get to choose our families, we also, all of us, and you know what? I will say this. I shouldn't be so, I don't know I lost my word right here, but I shouldn't be so definitive, if you will. I know there's a better word, but you know what I mean about this. But like, definitely if you are a queen who is 30 and older, Evan's back. I'm not trying to be definitive, but if you're over 30, then we all lived in a time where being gay made you immediately the outcast. And even if you were out or not out, you were an outcast. So even if you weren't, theoretically chosen last on the basketball team, just by the nature of being either a closeted gay or an out gay when you were young, you were chosen last. You were disregarded. It does not feel good. It's a collective thing that gays, especially of a certain age and older, and not very old, can relate to. Maybe even, and there's a lot of gays, even depending on where you live in this country, who are 16 years old and feel this way. And so I think what we're seeing is Megami expressing a collective pain that we all feel. And I think that we have an impulse, because she's a busted queen, is to be like, oh, that fucking bitch, stop crying. You know, this is a good Rulaska Thoughts topic.
Do you think she's busted? I don't think she's busted.
Girl, this outfit that she wore this week on the runway.
I didn't say that this
it looked like someone told me last minute, Megami fell down and we need to swing you in to be Megami. And I'm like,
grab a prop to hold aloft.
I just went and grabbed an outfit, whatever I had, and put it on.
I did not say that this week's look was not busted, because this was rotted. But I don't think overall she's not busted. But poor thing.
Joe, I think you're onto something, but the thing with Megami is it seems to be all the time. If it was just you got picked last and you want to whinge about it, sure. But she was whinging about the Raider Queen results. She's whinging on Twitter now about people not taking her seriously and underestimating her. And it's like, just get out there and do your best and show us.
And I'll cover it when we cover the thing. I saw a tweet she did earlier about all the lyrics she wrote. And at first I was like, okay, we get it, Megami. All right. But then I saw the work and I was like, oh, I think she really did do a lot of work.
She did. And then Nymphia Wind is even tweeted like, hey, she wrote all my stuff. But
yeah, Nymphia Wind was like, I can't talk, and then all of a sudden she has these great lyrics.
Yeah. Which makes me think that Megami asked her to post it. She's like, I've got 3 wins already. I don't really need credit for this one.
Cut to Megami wrote the tweet for her. I wrote this tweet for you. Can you post it? Anyway, so now I go back to circle back now. I want to go back to the workroom. Dawn is wearing this bandana around her head. I'm like, she looks like after she's done with Drag Race, she's going to go sew a dress for Cinderella. That's what she looked like. Didn't she look like it was like, is she going to go sew a dress for Cinderella? In this scene, Amanda breaks the fourth wall a second fucking time.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. They had to have a mandatory meeting about reporting ethics.
We didn't have a mandatory meeting, but you breaking the fourth wall. And I pretty much said everything on this topic. All right, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? When we come back, we're going to talk about the rest of the episode, and we're going to talk about it right after the break.
I'm your inner dream monologue, and you're fast asleep, so I'll be quick. Great job using the Colgate Optic White Overnight Teeth Whitening Pen before bed. When used as directed, it gives you a visibly whiter smile in just 7 days. So while I fly and talk to animals, you're removing teeth stains with ease. Sweet dreams. And when you wake up, keep on living life to the brightest. Colgate Optic White. Find it at all major retailers.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
This episode is supported by FX's Clipped, the scandalous story of the 2014 Clippers owner's racist remarks captured on tape and heard around the world. The series charts the tape's impact on a dysfunctional basketball organization striving to win against their reputation as the most cursed team in the league. Starring Lawrence Fishburne, Jackie Weaver, Cleopatra Coleman, and Ed O'Neill. FX's Clipped, streaming June 4th, only on Hulu.
All right, the girl groups hit the main stage to rehearse their choreo. On Team Plasma, Plasma talks too fast, Tsunami stumbles, and Amanda impresses the other groups. Later, Maya whispers the choreo to Team Geneva, and Nymphia reveals she's a dancer. Finally, Morphine teaches Team Saphira some moves, but Q's steps appear stilted. Let's go with Nathan first. Nathan, any thoughts on this choreo rehearsal?
Just that I loved it. I've said before that I love when the other queens get to watch them rehearse. I was sad we didn't get a vocal recording rehearsal, that we didn't see that, but this choreography segment was really fun. And I am loving Maya's low energy. I'm starting to find that really funny. The fact that she's up there whispering, I was dying. And also, Morphine has become likable to me. I'm enjoying Morphine's commentary, surprise. Yeah.
She's growing on me. Evan, what about you? What are your thoughts on the choreo?
Yeah, have you guys seen the meme of Morphine who looks like the ladybug from A Bug's Life?
Yes.
And so when she's wearing she's wearing all red in this choreography, and that's all I see is the little ladybug. Yeah, I find her incredibly endearing, and it's nice to see someone who's a look queen pop in and kind of give great contributions to what's the word? Choreography. What else did I think? I could not with Plasma. The not only doing the most, but then explaining the term. This is what we call a contagion.
Yeah.
Girl, you're a contagious. Just relax. And I'm so glad that was it Saphira that was in her group that was you need to slow down. Who's actually in a girl group? Were they in the same group?
No, maybe.
No.
Somebody did tell her to slow down. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, it may have been Tsunami. So whoever it was, I was thank you for saying that, because I feel I just turned the speed up on my playback. Yeah, and then the only other thing I thought was I don't know if Maya even realizes that she was intentionally whispering for the song ASMR, but very brilliant. But yeah.
Okay, listen here.
No,
there's no rant here. But for a lot of people, most of the fans are not big super nerd fans. Okay, most of the fans, they just casually watch it. They might listen to our show, listen to Race Chaser, Sibling Rivalry, all three. And some people don't, so they may or may not know that typically when they do these kinds of challenges, it's on the crew's Friday. So the crew and they get a weekend. And so what happens is on the weekend, on Friday they film this, and then they have a whole weekend to themselves where they can practice and choreograph. So by the time they come back on Monday, the girls have had 2 days more to workshop. That's why the dances are so much better when you see them. So you guys should keep that in mind in case you didn't know that. Let's talk about Plasma. You're right. Why is she doing the most? I'll tell you. Because she's one of those kids who sits in the front of the room and raises her hand and wants the teacher to know that she asked the questions. She was not choreographing and helping the girls. She was showing the producers, look, I can dance and I know what I'm doing. So I'm working really fast, because the truth of the matter is, if you're the choreographer, then your ass is on the line in this girl group. I think it was Tsunami, actually, now that you say that. You're focusing on Tsunami Muse because you want to make sure that Amanda's getting it. Plain Jane is getting it. You need to focus on her. You need to make sure she gets it, because she's going to be whoever's the weakest link is going to be the one that drags the group down. So who are you trying to impress that you're going fast and that like you're a Broadway dancer, you're a theater performer. This is how fast you perform. As we've seen before, that's very Todrick Hall behavior. That is not what's the name of the choreographer that I like?
Jamal Sims.
It's not Jamal Sims. Jamal Sims would work with her. Todrick would do this really fast using a lot of term shit. No Plasma.
And that's what Maya does. Maya was like, I'm going to bring it down to their level and so we can all do it and be cohesive. And then they ended up looking better because she didn't overcomplicate it. And I thought that was really good.
I also think there was we didn't see it as much, but I think Nymphia came in and helped a little bit too. Evan, you wanted to say something. What were you going to say?
Yeah, well, and I think it also just shows, like, I mean, I don't want to be a total hater because, like, Plasma is very talented. Like, there's no denying she's actually got some, like, great looks. She's a very talented singer, performer. But, like, you can tell her age when she just can't help herself. Like, I think some of these other queens, like Saphira and even Nymphia, like, they eventually did step in, but they knew how to, like, tone it back because they don't have, like, Plasma doesn't have the awareness that the more she shows off, quote unquote, and gives her little like honey boo boo, like I know everything, I'm going to perform for you. She doesn't know that, like, she had no idea that they're going to be making fun of her, and the editors do not care about her being talented. There's nothing special. There's 100 million of her in New York City right now that could be on that show. There's one every season, and so she doesn't realize that by acting that way, or kind of just letting it all hang out, she's setting herself up. So it's not that she herself is annoying, but she enabled that edit. And so it's just insufferable to watch as a viewer.
No, you're right. I was like, ugh, I just want to punch her in the face. Anyway, Q foreshadowing her own fate when she's making fun of Amanda and talking about how she's going to be in the bottom with her little mean girl clique. And, but luckily they're Amanda's friends, so I give it a pass. And then, Saphira gets very upset when she sees that Nymphia can dance. And she talks about like, oh, look at her with the hidden talents. And then she goes, she's playing a game. I'm like, yeah. You're on a reality competition series, Saphira.
Yeah.
Like, that's her strategy. She has hidden talents. I would have that same strategy. It's better to be, what's the word? Why don't I know words right now? Like, I'll change it to this. It's better to have low expectations because then you can surpass them.
So true.
Yeah. Well, I also think that for someone like Saphira, who they're calling mother she's 34, which that don't even get me started there. Like that.
She's 34.
She's 34.
She was like 58.
Right.
I thought she was older too. She looks older.
But she thinks that I think that entailed that she didn't see anyone else's competition. She thought she was going to Sasha Colby these kids. And then she suddenly realized that some of these younger people that were not she wasn't even in the same group as her. She's like, okay, now this person actually is a threat and I have to take them seriously.
A lot of threats for Saphira. All right, it's elimination day and the queens get ready for the challenge. Megami vows to show the girls she's a competitor, and Geneva wants to avoid the bottom two. Q confronts Plain Jane. Amanda gets hit with some shrapnel, and Plain Jane apologizes. Evan, let's start with you. Any thoughts on this elimination day?
Yeah, why are you such a cunt?
Are you gonna
like,
me or
like why are you such a cunt? Like, I don't know you.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I thought that was good for Amanda. I think that tells me that like this was actually a very real, like, she actually genuinely does not care for her, and so I'm glad that she actually called her out. The Q and Plain Jane though, like it was like it reminded me of like those like two girls that are sitting around just saying exactly to each other. Exactly. Like they both see each other, like they both think they're both hot and pretty and talented, so they were gonna get over it, but it was more of I left more annoyed for Amanda right before they performed too. So shady.
Nathan?
I don't like this Plain Jane because what she's doing is she's saying something really cunty, but then when Amanda calls her out, she's like, what conversation am I in right now? Am I talking to Q or am I resolving the issue with you? And it's like, bitch, you brought Amanda up. Like, you looped her into this. Don't poke the bear and then act all coy when the bear bites back. That's what I don't like about Plain. She doesn't stick to her guns. It's like, if you want to be a cunt, but be a better cunt. Because right now, you are just being a bully, and it's not fun shade. She calls it fun shade, but she's doing that thing where she's hiding it all in a critique. But it's like, no one asked you for your critique. She's, you know that Taylor Swift lyric, so casually cruel in the name of being honest? She acts like just because like, oh, it's my opinion. It's like, you don't need to give your opinion to Amanda right now because Amanda doesn't want it. So give it in confessional, give it on Twitter, but right now in the moment, shut the fuck up because I hate you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to take these two different cases. One, let's talk about Q. Once again, when I realized the second viewing, just plain Jane should have never apologized to Q. I stand by 100% what she said to her in the workroom. I would have said the same fucking thing. I might have said it differently. I might have been like, you're bitching because you were in the top 3. You know, something sarcastic and mean and cunty. But essentially, she told Q the truth. And maybe Q didn't like to hear it, but she told her the truth. And listen, look, here's the deal, Nathan. I said this before and I'll say it again. And this is why plain Jane, I wouldn't say is growing on me. This particular episode, I'm defending her. Is she's doing that thing so far that, and she explains this in her confessional during this moment, where I'm like, look, if you're going to be a cunt, stand by it. And don't back down and don't say the fans are mean to you. Don't say the edit's making you look bad. And so far, she hasn't done it. She is letting the show speak for itself. She hasn't backed down. She doesn't back down in the show. She doesn't back down at post-show. She is who it is. She is, and she's let it all hang out. She said something here that I was applauding, literally applauding when she said it, because I think all the drag queens need to take this to heart. This is what she said. I have it right here.
When an entertainer puts themselves out on stage, it's fair game to criticize what they put out there.
And these drag queens forget this. This new post-season 10 drag queens especially forget this. They want to go out there. They want to do their thing, but nobody can ever say anything. There was a queen. I don't know who she is. I've never heard of her. And maybe she's a famous drag queen. I don't follow these drag queens that aren't on the show. I have enough with the ones who are on the show. But she made this Twitter post that was long and was essentially about how if you're not a drag queen, you have no right to criticize any of the girls on RuPaul's Drag Race. Fuck that. No. You went on now look, I don't go to their fucking stupid shows, wherever bar shows they go to and judge them. I don't go in there and say anything, right? But what I'm saying is, if you choose to go on RuPaul's Drag Race, guess what? You're going to be judged. And I'm going to tell you something. Before you got on seasons 1 through 15, you were judging those queens. So it's a TV show. Earlier, you guys were talking about this show, Traitors. What if I said to you, oh, you're not a traitor. You've never been on a reality show. You have no right to judge these contestants. You have no right to judge people on The Bachelor. You have no right to talk to say anything about people on Top Chef. You have no right to make fun of William Hung on American Idol.
He is?
I judge. That's what I do, right? And if you put on it anyway, so the Q thing, you said, Nathan, you literally said, say it behind their backs.
So, but the difference for me, Joe, is I get what you're saying. And also, have you seen they're now coming for like Bob and Monet for talking about it? So not even drag queens can critique drag queens now.
I know,
but
you're right.
It's just like the conversation was between Plain and Q. You don't need to say, oh, I don't respect Amanda's drag in the middle of that conversation. That's not the arena for it.
I'm not on the Amanda one yet. I'm still in Q.
Right.
I'm still in Q.
For Q, Plain was correct.
Yeah, for Q, Plain is correct. She should have never apologized. I think she just did it because she was like, okay, I'm coming off as a real bitch here because I dragged in Amanda for no reason, right? So I think what she was trying to do was diffuse it with a laugh. Now let's go to the Amanda and Q. You're right. Plain Jane came for Amanda, and Amanda reacted in the preview for this episode. It made it seem like there was going to be a big to do, right? But Amanda just goes like, "Why are you such a fucking cunt?" You know, and then that was it. Now, I'm going to tell you something.
We never got an answer on why she's being such a cunt.
But here's the thing, though, is I don't know what to say about this. You're right. I don't know why. I wish Amanda would have fought for herself more. But here's something that I noticed that was very interesting. You guys can go double check me. In this entire segment, there is never a confessional of Amanda addressing what happened. There's no confessional of Amanda talking about how she felt. There's no confessional of Amanda talking about why she did it, why she didn't say anything, what Plain said, how it made her feel. Nothing. It's silence from Amanda. Plain Jane defines the narrative of this entire thing. And I think it's very interesting why the producer, a mandatory meeting has been a major talking head, but in this one moment where she figures in where you would want to know what Amanda was thinking, it's silence. There's nothing.
Because it wasn't the first time it happened. She's already said like a few times, like, why is she doing this? Like, I don't get why she's bringing me into this. So it's like, how many times can Amanda have that same reaction? It's just like, I want to know why Plain is obsessing over it. It's like, yeah, we all thought Amanda was booger at first. Like, agreed. But it's just like the harping on it is when it becomes bullying. And it's just like, I don't know why Plain does that. I already know Amanda's reaction, but I don't know where it's coming from with Plain.
Evan, you want to say something? What is it?
Well, and have you read today or yesterday that there was I guess Amanda had went through a divorce right before Drag Race, and she was in her ex-husband was very verbally abusive, and so I guess that she talks about how a lot of the things that Plain Jane would say to her her reaction to Plain Jane was actually a good test, and she was she was very editing herself, she was very intentional with how she responded to it because she was used to it, and so maybe it just didn't give as good a TV as we would have liked.
You know what's so funny is I was seeing Amanda Toriamini in the news a lot because she came out as trans, and also what you were talking about, the divorce. There's a lot of this, and I should have realized that was sort of foreshadowing that she was going home.
Oh, that
Usually
she's
when
gone.
someone's in the news that much. Yeah. I didn't pay attention. I was like, oh, that's weird that she chose this week to
what a week.
Trans. Yeah.
I thought she was going home when she started talking about her OnlyFans ghostwriting. I was like, oh, that's the writing. She's going back to work.
Yeah. I thought she was going home when I saw that makeup job she did in the first episode. All right. Let's talk about the girl groups challenge. Let's talk about that. Do you have specific notes per group, Evan and Nathan, or do you want to just okay? What the QDSM Star Baby with Saphira, Dawn, Morphine, and Q. Evan, what were your thoughts on this one?
I thought that Q. If you close your eyes, Q was amazing. I am truly if this was just the audio, Q was fantastic, and I know business being in the bottom. And the other thing I thought was Dawn. If you listen to Dawn's verse, and then if you go back and listen to Utica's verse from season 12, it's very similar.
Oh, really?
It's Utica from the small land. It sounds very similar, and I adore Utica, and I thought Dawn killed it. So those are my two takeaways. I also excitedly, I love that they didn't even bother to have someone pay Leland to produce 3 song tracks they normally do. We already have 3 shitty songs and they're already cleared by the artist, so we'll just use these.
Nathan?
Yeah, I thought this one was pretty low effort. The name QDSM, they just did their initials. They couldn't even come up with something. That was the red flag for me. And then the performance was okay. It was a bit mid. I thought Saphira was really good. I thought Dawn was pretty good as well, but I didn't think they did a good job as being a cohesive group.
I'm closer to Evan. I think Q was better than they made it seem. I don't think she wasn't as bad as they said. She wasn't the strongest, but she was. They made it seem like she was but that outfit was atrocious.
They made it sound like she was Pheromone on All Stars 4.
Yes, she's slipping all over the place or whatever.
Yeah, or can't dance.
Yeah. And I agree with Nathan. I thought Saphira's verse was underrated. Might be the best verse of the whole thing, if I'm being honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think she got enough love for that. All right, let's go to the next one where we have the Lova Girls, where they encouraged to love. That's Plasma, Mandatory Meeting, Tsunami Muse, and Plain Jane. Nathan, do you have any thoughts there?
They were all right. I thought there was some nice choreo moments. I think they probably got the worst of the 3 songs. They had the hardest battle with it, I think, maybe. But yeah, they were fine. There was some good moments.
Evan?
Yeah, the song was horrendous. And Plasma stood out. She looked like a pop star. That jumpsuit that she had on looked amazing. She sounded great. Plain Jane was It's fun. I feel like Plain Jane has these bits of brilliance, the break my heart, but don't break my heart, break my back. I mean, that's like probably Uber driver humor, so like amongst gay people, but it's like funny to like someone who's never heard it. But so she knows to play her strengths, and I think she looked fantastic. But I agree, the song was terrible, and I think this had a potential to be a disaster. And I don't think a mandatory meeting was that bad either. Though she's
No.
flipping her wig, and like the wig was
It's the whole
it's
welcome,
and it's welcome, but also like they've spent so much time showing us how much Amanda was killing it, and then they broadcast what they showed, she didn't look that bad.
Yeah, she looks good.
Yeah, they had to justify why they sent her home. Because also, I would say it's kind of dicky to judge her on the padding. Because when I was watching her move, I think the padding moved because she was dancing. I don't think she intentionally put the shitty padding in. I think she put the padding in. She danced her ass off, literally. And then when she did that final pose, the padding was all fucked up because of the dancing. Because drag queens aren't typically, doing well. I guess they are actually, but yeah, it wasn't that big of a mistake. I didn't notice the padding thing until Michelle and they showed us a tight shot on it. But I didn't notice it at first.
Yeah,
I didn't see it, but what do I know? All right, finally we have Thick and Stick, ASMR Lover with Geneva, Maya, Nymphia, and Megami. Evan, what were your thoughts there?
This was really good. I think these lyrics were a lot better than the song. I would have liked to hear it on a not like of the three songs. This is like I think the best, most memorable like RuPaul song at least. So the lyrics were great. I obviously loved Nymphia. I thought she killed it. And the only one that was like Geneva just didn't. I mean, Geneva sounded great, but I think she was if you had to put someone in the bottom, I'd put her there. Yeah, it was fine. I could not with Maya's little Lady Gaga popcorn yellow wig. That was a lot, but I'm talking about when Lady Gaga wore that like very specific shade of yellow wig for like 4 years. No,
Evan's a Gaga stan, Survivor stan, and a Drag Race stan. So it's combining a lot of these today. Nathan, you have any big thoughts?
I loved this one. I loved it because, first of all, it's an underdog narrative, and I love an underdog narrative. And I think it was great to see how shocked everyone else was that they actually did a good job. I thought they were the most cohesive as an actual girl group. Like, at least they looked like they were in the same band, which I thought, gives them easy points, because the other two, I didn't really get the the family resemblance or whatever. And I thought the choreography was really good for the specific song beats. And like in Megami's verse, the other three who were like dancing behind her, they all like popped. There was a bit where they all like stepped out behind each other, and I just thought that was like really good and really well done. So they were my favorite.
Also, props to all three of these. Props to all of them. There was no one that was like, "And Mama Ru, I'm gonna snatch the crown." And look at these like there was no like typical. So props for them for breaking that cycle. That alone, I'm happy with.
All right. I agree with everything you guys said. So I don't have any really strong thoughts. Let's go on to the looks. I asked both of you to prepare some favorites and some least favorites. Let's start with you, Nathan. What are some of your favorites from this look?
I loved Sephora's one where the pussycat wig
Sephora, the makeup company?
Oh, sorry, Saphira. I love Saphira's one because the wig turned into the cat with the Dr. Evil thing. Like, I wasn't expecting that, and I just thought it was really just fun. And I liked, in a similar vein, Nymphia's, because she had that like vagina on her head. Like, I just think she's next level, where she never just does a look. It's always a look with a twist and then like something on top of the twist. So I really appreciated that.
Evan?
Yeah, I very much agree. I thought Saphira does this amazing thing where she knows how to perform with her face, specifically with her eyes, and she did it in the Break My Soul lip sync where it's a way of like connecting or selling something. The way she turned into Dr. Evil with that wig coming off was brilliant. It wasn't the most like groundbreaking dress, but for like the prompt, loved it. I agree. Nymphia's yet to miss on the runway for me, so I'm always excited. I'm so glad they always put her last. I'll be curious if that's a thing throughout the whole season, because she is undisputably rocking it. The only other thing I had was I actually really did not mind a mandatory meetings look. I did not think it deserved as much crap as it got. I got it. It was interesting, and it was a hell of a lot better to me than what Plasma put on her head. So yeah,
All right,
that's my take.
Good. Now, what about some least favorite looks, Evan? What were some of your least favorite looks?
I did not get this Geneva Cars Lisa Frank print. I don't know. It does not do it for me. So that one was kind of a miss. Again, I thought that the wings that that were on top of Plasma's like wig were distracting, and we have to talk about Miss Megami's look, and that those wings on her back. I don't know what. God bless her. God
I wish you would
bless
have
her.
used them and flown away.
They didn't look. Yeah, I don't know. That was a tough one.
Like the mother of the bride, and she decides to go fuck the caterer behind the building during the wedding, and then she comes back and she's trying to like fix her hair and her dress, but doesn't get it quite right. It's what she looked like.
Yeah, it was like if you order like a Tinkerbell for your kid's birthday party, but like they come back from like you order like it's like a girl with a meth problem, and she just kind of like
Times Square Tinkerbell.
Yeah,
you're right. It's the Times Square Tinkerbell. Nathan, what were some of your least favorites?
I thought Maya's was the most basic because it was just shoulders and a pussycat wig. There was no twist or extra element that made that like high drag for me. Yeah. And, you know, as much as Amanda was doing something, I do have to agree it was a bit confusing because like I get that there's the faces, but are they eggs? But then they have a wig on it. But then like her face is hatching. So it's like it's hatching and then you see the face, but the other two had a face on them. So it was the faces of it all that really, it took me out of it. And I do think it was pretty bad.
All right, very good. All right, on the main stage, RuPaul names Geneva, Maya, Nymphia, and Megami the winners of the challenge. Later, Ru asks the bottom who should go home and why. In the end, Ru follows their lead and places Q and a mandatory meeting in the bottom two, forcing them to face off in a lip-sync battle for their lives. The song Emergency by Iconopop. In the end, Q is told Shantae you stay, while a mandatory meeting is asked to sashay away. Ladies, we already gave our thoughts on the lip sync, but do you have any final thoughts on the episode, everything that happened on the main stage, anything post looks? Let's start with you, Nathan.
Yeah, I love Who Should Go Home and Why. I always enjoy that. And it made for an interesting convo in Untucked when Q decided to say two names for some reason. And she says Tsunami and Amanda. And then in Untucked, Tsunami's annoyed, but then Q is annoyed that Tsunami's annoyed. And it's just like, well, what do you expect? Of course she's going to be annoyed. You didn't have to throw her under the bus, but you did. So I thought that was fun for Untucked. And also I loved in Deliberations when Ru said that Tsunami was a real participant in the challenge. And she said that as if it was a compliment. But I'm like, you're just saying she participated in the challenge, which I just thought was great. So those are my thoughts.
Evan?
No final thoughts. No, I'm just kidding. I did not love, the Q's bit about like throwing out two names was very Alyssa Edwards, like the one I want to eliminate is not in this lineup. Like you just didn't, or is Miss Cracker All Stars 5, like you don't have to say what was keeping you up at night. You had one chance you had a chance to piss one person off and you pissed two people off. I always like when the guest judges come back and like sit with the girls and Untucked.
Oh,
but it's typically, it's so funny how like the like Cameron Diaz's and these huge artists are like the ones that are super fangirling, and then like Iconopop just talked about themselves the whole time. They're like, yeah, like we met 12 years ago and like we didn't know each other and we're successful and it's great and now we're like riding this amazing high and like okay, time to go. Like there was
same thing with this ugly kid from the Dear Evan Hansen. He did the same shit.
Oh no, he was the old he was the old to be like, well, I was at theater school and then the movie that I was in, Wink. And meanwhile, Cameron Diaz and like Lady Gaga are like writing out full dissertations for everyone how to improve
because they don't need to prove anything. They are secure in themselves, you know. I want to go back to something Nathan said. He brought up this Q, right? And I'm gonna go to a story from the Bible. There's a story in the Bible. It's one of my favorite stories because I feel people violate this all the fucking time. But there's a parable in the Bible about this guy who goes in front of a judge. I think it's like he didn't pay a bill or something like that, right? Like the king goes in front of the king. And the king's like, I'm going to throw you in fucking jail, you fucking piece of shit. It's weird this language is in the Bible. And he's like, you piece of shit, I'm throwing you in fucking jail. You're going to rot there till you pay this debt. And he's like, no, please don't. I have a family. I have kids. I have to feed them. Don't do this to me. Please. I beg for mercy. And the king's like, all right, I'm feeling good. Yeah, you can go make some money, pay this debt back, but I forgive you, right? And the dude walks outside, sees another guy who owes him money. And he's like, shakes him down. You owe me money. And he's like, the guy gives him the same speech. He's like, please. And he goes, take him away, cops. And the cops come and fucking take that guy away. And the king sees this. And he's like, I gave you fucking mercy, you piece of shit. Go, you're going to jail now, right? It's the same thing with this fucking Q. She fucking hunts. She's crying because she's at the top. She hunts down this plain Jane. And she's like, you invalidated my feelings. You invalidated them. How dare you? I was upset and you weren't a sister. You invalidated how I felt by telling me the truth. Completely, I just told you the truth. And she goes, well, it didn't make me feel good. And then she says two names on the fucking stage. And this Tsunami's like, I didn't like that. You did that. She goes, tough shit. Right? Yeah. I did it. Get over it. And I'm like, who the fuck are you? Just 2 hours ago, you were making Plain Jane apologize to you. And now we're just a few hours later in the work, and you're like, yeah, fuck you. I said two names.
Read the book of Leviticus, cunt. Yeah. Learn a lesson from a parable, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like she's reading the book of Genesis.
You know what's really funny? This is gonna get really Bible nerdy. There's this Bible theory that 3 of the books of the Bible not stole, but took a lot of their stories from the same source. You know what the name of that source is? What? I'm not even being funny. Q. They call that source Q.
Wow.
Shut up.
I'm not even being funny. You can look it up.
QAnon?
Yes, it was QAnon.
Wow.
And Evan, people don't know this. Evan went back to DC this week to go to Comet Pizza. Yeah. I don't want to say what Evan's doing at Comet Pizza, but it's not good. Wait, Evan, give us your plugs.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Nobody Cares, NOBODYCAYRES.
Thank you very much for. Would you come on again, Evan?
Yeah.
By the way, Evan has a good microphone. He used to be on here, but he's not in town. He's not home right now. So he had his microphone on him. But I wanted him to be on this episode, so he's here. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 16. So for Nathan Patrick Brown and myself, and Evan Ayres,
it's chocolate.
Thank you for listening to Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can also email us at dragracerecap@afterthought.media. For more Drag Race and LGBTQ content, support us over at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. This podcast was produced by Zach Birch. Nathan Brown has another podcast. It's called Bravo, Bravo, Effing Bravo. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow Nathan Brown on Instagram at NathanBrown90. Follow Joe Betance on Instagram at Joe Betance. Special thanks to these expensive tier Patreon supporters. Alex S. Anonymous. April Pacheco. Astute Girl. Brad Coley. Philsket Pony, Deckhead, Doofus Maximus, E. Smith, Elizabeth Tinner, Emma, Humble Pie, Isaac Martin, Jade Thomas Plank, Jesse Harris, Kathy Zender, Lauren Eckert, Lucy Carrasco, Luke Stamen, Mike Yeager, Nikki Baker, Poppy Woods, Ricardo the Herrera, Robert NYC, Sarah Yu, Runner Brandon, Tom Bombs, Travi Cosmos, Troy Anderson, and Zach Nelson. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.